Hey friends. Well, as is my wont, I have been continued reading in this book entitled 4,000 Weeks. And I have continued to sort of let the perspective that I'm encountering just kind of take me over for a little while. And there's some pretty remarkable stuff coming up. I think I spoke a little bit about this yesterday, but as I have continued to read, there's something that the author Oliver Berkman points out that I found just really powerful and really significant, especially kind of as it pertains to the relationships that I have to practice and to all the different fields in my life where I sort of pursue something, whether it's creative, musical, in my teaching work, even personal. And the crux of what the author touches on in the section that I read yesterday is this idea. I've spoken many times about how the internet and social media, and there's a whole kind of industry of attention. They're basically taking our attention and selling it back to us, right? Our attention is the commodity that is at the heart of the business model of social media companies and of many different types of online companies. This much we know. I've talked about that a bunch. And but to take that one step further, what the author talks about in his book yesterday, in the chapter that I was reading, is that there's we describe this sometimes as an assault on our attention or an assault on our psyche, because so many powerful, it's the sort of cliche that whenever you're looking at your phone screen, there are 1,000 people behind that screen trying to get you to keep looking at it, or trying to get you to look at a particular part of it. And that's actually true. That's literally, and it may even be more than 1,000. That might be an understatement. So it's literally true that there is a kind of no holds barred, out and out drive to keep our attention glued to our social media, to an app, to our phones. But what's not always acknowledged is that our tendency, our willingness to take our attention off of the tasks that we say and that actually really are important to us, and put it on a distraction, is something that we willingly do. It's not something that social media companies or anybody else with an internet business model has to force us to do. They kind of know that we're already predisposed to doing that. And if we didn't have social media, we'd find other ways of distracting ourselves. And we did for millennia. So the competition for our attention and the sort of almost the war to distract us is really just the next layer in something that has been a human predicament, a human conundrum since the dawn of time, because it's hard to keep our attention on the things that really matter to us. And what the author pointed out in the chapter yesterday that I found so stunningly kind of revelatory was that when I think I'm paraphrasing, but he says when we take our attention off of a project or a subject or a topic that we really care about and flee into distraction, what is really happening is that we are avoiding an encounter with our finitude. Now, if that's not a bold statement, I don't know what is. The notion that our inability to keep our attention on something that truly matters to us, and therefore our tendency to sort of cast about for things to put to distract us enter social media, enter all the big platforms that know exactly how to grab our attention. Those are just the places we go to give our attention a momentary relief from this agonizing state of being sort of up against the things that matter most to us, and the inherent difficulty of those things, the inherent imperfection of those things. If we're working on a big project, there's a sense in which our fantasy about the project and what it might mean, the contours and the sort of what it takes on in our imagination is almost never met in the actual product. I'm not saying it never happens, but I'm saying there's a difference that in the unfettered and limitless realm of the imagination, a project can be infinitely successful, infinitely perfectly sculpted, even to the point of having attributes that may be contradictory, because in the realm of the hypothetical, in the realm of our imagination, there's no conflict there. Our mind can effortlessly bundle two contradictory things into the same idea and present it to us as a possibility. But in reality, if we try to do that, it'll never happen. So that's what we're facing. We're facing the limitations of reality, the limitations of finitude. And what Oliver Berkman is saying is that's what makes it so hard to care about what we care about. That's the thing that makes us so predisposed to then fleeing off into a distraction of any kind. And if that distraction happens to be, impeccably engineered to hold our attention, well, then it's going to make a very good distraction. But that's not something we do reluctantly. It's something that we do when we take our attention off that big thing and put it on some little whatever side distraction. We feel a sense of momentary relief. It may not feel good in our soul, but in our mind at the moment, it feels like, oh, thank God. Okay, I'm just going to chill for a few minutes. So this is a concept that I feel compelled to unpack in a lot more detail, and thank God I'm only about halfway through the book, so I'm going to get lots more food for thought here. But suffice it to say, I am fascinated currently with this notion of attention. And in my video yesterday, I described how the author kind of equates attention with time. The human experience of time is essentially the experience of what our attention was focused on for a duration of time. We have no other experience of time, really, other than the period, the phases of time that elapse as we are spending our attention, directing our attention in a certain way. And to equate that one step further, our attention equals time equals our life. What we spend our time focused on is what our life is. It's what our life seems to be to us, which is one of the remarkable things about, a little bit of inner work. When we start shifting the focus of our attention, our entire life can begin to look different. Without a whole lot of circumstances actually changing, our focus, where we put our attention, can change everything. And beyond that point, I'm growing ever more. This is clearly a field that is that speaks to me, because it seems to relate to so many aspects of what our experience of life is. And it helps me orient towards, it helps me clarify and sort of have even more resolve to orient towards those things that really truly do matter to me, and to kind of know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's where my attention belongs, and to find as many ways and strategies and techniques as I can to remain there, to keep my focus there. Acknowledging the tendency towards distraction is a big step towards understanding that it's a form of addiction. Distraction is an addiction, and working with it that way can be immensely powerful. Thanks for watching, folks. That's what I got today. I'll see you soon.